What is shaking, y'all? It's your boy, Mark Cordone. We are here with Robin Meyers. Robin Meyers, author of Alone But Not Lonely. I love the title of this book, Robin, so we have to talk about this Alone But Not Lonely book that you have out. Robin Meyers, life strategist. Robin Meyers, international speaker. Robin Meyers, what do you not do? That might be my first question to you. But before we get into all of that, I wanted to let you all know who are tuning in for the first time. My name is Mark Cordone. I'm the founder of the Make Money Coaching Program. But more importantly, I am a positive psychology coach, which means two things, y'all. How are you feeling today? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling grateful? Are you feeling happy? The second thing is, how fulfilled do you feel like you're living today? Are you living fulfilled on a day-to-day basis? If you're doing both, you don't need me as a coach. You're flourishing. Just stay there. Just stay there, y'all. Now, Robin, I need to ask you this. Are you feeling good right now and living in your full purpose?
I am totally living in my
I love it. I love it. So for those of you who are watching live, or those of you who are watching the replay, if you're feeling good like Robin and feeling like you're living in your full purpose, Robin, I want to see you put your both of your hands up right now and make some hearts with me. Show Robin and I some love. Show us some hearts. Let us know.
wrong side of the body. Here you go.
Side to side, side to side, side to side. Look at, we're like besties already. Like we just know we're besties. I love it. Now, this is the thing as well. Everyone thinks positive psychology might be about the craps and giggles and Taco Tuesday every single day. There's a happiness component, but also at the same time, if you feel like this is a Thursday where you're like, not feeling it today, Cordone, I'm not feeling good. Or you're feeling like you're going through a transition and you're like, you know what? I used to know my purpose. I knew I wanted to get into med school, but like that's not my purpose anymore. If you feel like your purpose isn't at full capacity right now, you know what? That's cool too. That's part of the ups, downs, and all arounds of life, y'all. So just give us a thumbs up because your heart is beating just like everybody else's. You're experiencing life just like everybody else's. This is part of the journey. So even if you're not feeling it right now, give us a big old thumbs up. Now, Robin, the other part of this is, hey, everybody back there. Hey, doggy. Now, if y'all
setting, can't you tell?
I love it. I love it. If y'all are feeling optimistic about the future, if you are feeling like tomorrow is going to be freaking amazing, no matter where you are on the spectrum right now, there's another button down there, y'all. There's another button I want to see you hit. That's called the wow face. Robin, can you give us a big old wow face? Absolutely amazing. Thank you all for joining us. Robin, thank you for joining us right now. We're going to get into all of this stuff today that you're doing. And for those of you all who feel like you're a little bit out of balance, for those of y'all who feel like you might be thinking small and you might be settling for a life that you know could be a lot more fulfilling, for those of you who know that sometimes you have these toxic messages that you send in your mind that you want to get rid of once and for all, stick around. We're going to try to talk about all of it in the next 40 minutes, 50 minutes. But I want to start off with this, Robin. Robin, you've got all of these amazing things, author, life strategist, international speaker. But before all of those things, what's your story?
Pretty interesting, if I may say so. My story, which I think makes who I am now kind of like, really? I was an incredibly shy, introverted, scared of myself youngster, teenager, and really a young adult into adulthood, really. I didn't speak till I was almost 4 years old, just because I was the youngest of three, and all I had to do was point, and people would go run and try and retrieve what I wanted, so I didn't need to, which was great, but I lived in this very protective family, and I was the only girl, so they were like all going to protect me. So never really communicated. And it just kind of festered into this, like I was going to be the people pleaser and do what I think everybody wanted me to do. But including, we started to talk, get into the sciences. I was going to go to medical school. And I told you, I'm a good student, but I'm not like a fantastic student. I grew up outside of New York, and I went to college in Ohio, believe it or not. And I went from New York City lifestyle to, so just let me paint this picture for you, okay? Yeah. So I'm shy anyways, but, I'm in the city and I do things, New York City. Take me and then throw me in the middle of Ohio as a shy 18-year-old. Like, what was anyone thinking? Did anyone want to wake me up then and say, like, what are you doing?
Right.
But apparently not. So, I went to college and scared, introverted, I wasn't a partier. I didn't even know if I should go to a party because you're supposed to be studying all the time. I'm supposed to be going to med school. I'm supposed to study. Didn't get into med school because I'm a horrible test taker, and decided to go get my master's degree in molecular genetics. No rhyme or reason, but I guess I was in the sciences, so why not? I did not stay for my PhD because I kind of got lucky in the genetics, and I was like, I don't want to stay in academia. But in the interim of that, my life change was that when I was 21 in my graduate degree, I got a phone call from my father saying, I need you to come home. Your mom's ill. She's in the hospital. Nobody had told me that she was really ill. My mom died that weekend. So my mom died at 53 and I was 21. And I was like, she was really my only person I did speak to. So then I was like, all right, why talk to the world anyways? So I really led this very like sheltered, ultra sheltered life. And, but I still finished the damn master's degree. I'm a great math and science tutor. Let me put it to you that way. But I never had kind of that transition with, well, obviously with her, because she really was the closest person to me. But that transition as to what life should be. So I kind of went with what I thought life was supposed to be. I met my future husband. So forget the PhD. He lived in Washington, D.C. And I was like, okay, I'll go to Washington, D.C. And I was, check the box, get married, check the box, have a family, check the box, motherhood. I was fortunate enough to raise them.
Sure.
So it was all check. Kind of went back to work because tuition started. But it really, honestly, Mark, it really wasn't until I took a job that it was in theory, a really good job. It was the director of education for this program. But I had a boss who kind of took my voice away, and the facade was fine. I looked happy. I was, I had a mom. I was a mom. I have 3 kids. My youngest is my daughter. She's 21 now, actually. We'll get to that part. And then a 26-year-old boy, 2 boys. And, things were fine, but I still did for everybody else, because I thought I was supposed to do for everybody else. Never taking care of myself. And that's like the biggest warning sign, like, like ding, ding, like lights are going off. But so I take this job, which is great. But my boss was kind of like, nothing was good enough. And the old Robin, that young Robin, where I was like, how do I please, came back. And I really, through college and stuff, I suffered depression quite a bit, especially after losing my mom. Yeah. And it sent me right back, that spiral just started. And I was like, this isn't me. I was angry at home. I was like a nasty woman at home. I was kind of like, hostile to the kids and everybody. I quit the job. And then my kids were old enough. My I think one was out in college, one was about to graduate high school, and the other was like freshman or sophomore. But I kind of took a look in the mirror, like, what am I doing? Because what am I going to do when I grow up, right? You know?
Interesting. Okay.
Kind of,
So here you are, right? So here you are, kind of, you talked about being quiet, Robin, growing up. Um, the person that you felt like you that you weren't quiet, Robin, around, you lost at 21.
yeah.
And you kind of moved forward, and Robin, it sounds like ostensibly, I think you're hinting at that when you were going down the checkbox, it was like checkbox of what society says is successful,
Yeah,
right? Okay,
exactly.
so on paper right now, I've got you checking down everything and being successful on paper.
Well, being successful is, you know, so you graduate school and then you're going to get a job and then you get married. And then, as, you know, as a woman, then, you know, 25 to 30, you should start a family and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. Exactly. It was the boxes
Yep.
that I thought society put out there that should be
Yep.
checked. I always laugh that, you know, if somebody needs to write like the handbook for not having the handbook for life, like that would be like the best book. If you think about it, we have to write this book. Like we have to get a group of people and write this book.
I absolutely love it. I'm the first to jump on. I'm not supposed to do this as the show host, but I do have to tell you, Robin, that I think one of the greatest things about being a coach myself is that folks will come in and they'll want a blueprint or a script from me on how to be successful. And it's like you actually have to develop your own blueprint. And it's actually about unlearning the things that you thought were the blueprint for success and then actually creating it for yourself. And give me the last chapter, or even let me be the editor. I don't know, whatever.
But it's so true. It's so
Right?
interesting to say
Yeah.
that because, you know, I'll always say like we can like work on a roadmap, but what do you want and what's your vision for yourself? You know, like what do you want? And then let's unplug and let's like take it. Let's work backwards to like rewire you.
No, it's true. It's true. And we talked about this. I was a neuroscience major, so there's actually rewiring that goes on
Yeah,
when it comes to mindset work.
absolutely.
What I also love about what you talked about was, let's look at the roadmap. And for so many people, they think the destination is a destination that's created for them by society. And
Yeah,
in fact, when you actually set your own destination that you know is here, and in your gut,
absolutely.
the GPS becomes a lot easier, and the roadmap actually becomes a lot easier to navigate through. And you also know that when you hit a wall, you can navigate around it just like any GPS system would do, because you know actually where you're going versus feeling like, oh, I'm going to hit a wall. I hope someone comes and rescues me, or I don't want to look like an ass in front of everyone and look like a failure. Um, so a lot of these gremlins go away for a lot of people when they've set their own GPS. Robin, this is your show, so I realize I'm talking too much. So
No, like really what happened for me because I guess that's when I became a coach and I started as a teen life coach. Just because I thought like the teens, like somebody's got to start helping them, you know, give them a voice instead of being like channeled through school. I live outside of Washington D.C. and it's
hmm
a competition, but nobody looks at the big picture. Like we're not making kids have we're not producing like kids to be young, successful adults. We're just kind of like, if you have an A, you're going to go to this school. And if you're in B's, you're going here, and C's, you're going there. And if you're not, well, good luck to you, you know? So I
Yep.
started for teens. But my really turn of the moment was this past year because when I wrote my book, which makes a whole different word, vulnerability, gives it a whole new definition, which part is my story. Um, the interesting thing is I made a promise to myself that I was going to turn it to the editor on August 11th, which is my birthday. This past summer, 2017, I turned 53. And my daughter's 21. So I turned 53 as she turned 21. And I was like, this is my year. And as soon as I
That
changed,
is so interesting.
with all of the tools that I know and I use, and I finally was like, you know, if you're going to walk the walk and talk the talk, you better do it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything changed for me.
Now, let me ask you this. Before I ask you this, we got someone coming in from Puerto Rico that wants to say hi to you, Robin. We got Jorge from Puerto Rico. It's good to see you, Jorge. Jorge is like one of the best folks ever. And you know what? I call out Jorge every day for not saying hi to our guests. Jorge, this may be the first time you've ever said hi to the guests, and I love you for it, Jorge. So I wanted to ask you this, Robin. So I've got you looking in the mirror at one point, being like, "Gosh, I've got all these things," and I'm looking in the mirror, and I cut you off, and then you became a team life coach. So I'm curious, where did you go from that point where you were looking in the mirror to becoming that life coach? What was the moment you said, "This is where I'm going back on the trajectory where I feel like I'm self-navigating"?
You know what? It was that job as director of education, and it was a very public job where I did a lot of public speaking for it, and it had to do with national park services and things like that. And so I was giving a presentation, and then my boss was giving a presentation on behalf of the company, and like she kept kind of like calling me over, like, you know, like patting her leg to call me over to stand closer to her. And I was like, I felt like the dog. Like I do that to my, you know, and I was like, so it was kind of like this moment of, you know, at home, I was running around chasing and doing everything for everybody else. You know, they were old enough. I guess, Mark, the biggest thing was I never kind of took a moment to sit down and say, what do I want to do? You know, I love theater. I love to cook. I want to travel, but I never did. I never really took the time unless I was cooking for them or traveling with them or whatever. And then but I went to work outside of the home, which was great. You know, benefits were good and so forth. But then I have someone like still calling me over. And I was like, the hell with that. Like I can't. And I literally walked in the next day and I was like, I quit. And I remember like she looked at me like, you're a director. And I was like, I'll give you 2 weeks then. I'm still quitting. Like, that's it, you know? And that was really like the start of my turning point, because I realized that, and then through this year as I developed, you know, I've realized that, you know, it really, nobody can validate us. You know, nobody can give us permission to do anything. It really comes down to us as an individual, man, woman. It really doesn't matter to say, I have to claim it and own it. And I have to be the one to say, this is what I'm doing. And if I don't do it myself, nobody will.
I need to put it on the screen. I love it. And what I also love about your story, and for those of you all who are watching, Robin and I literally talked for about 3 minutes before we went on, right? And we caught ourselves because I feel like we were going into this conversation where we were like, holy cow, we have so much in common, right? But like, Robin, I'm finding out, just like everyone is finding out your story right now, or for those of y'all who are meeting Robin for the first time. And what I'm seeing is sort of this story where someone, the shy, introverted, and this is to use your own word, scared of myself at times person came forward and was like, you know what? Like, this is not how I'm going to be treated. If, you know, no amount of pay, no amount of work, no amount of prestige is, you're not going to pat your leg, you know? And that was sort of the, sorry, y'all, it's 5 o'clock. This is the R-rated show. I'm out of fucks to give, you know, like moment, right? And in many ways, that's the time when you're ripe for change, right? Because it's like, I don't know what I want yet, but I just know I don't want this.
Right.
Exactly. Okay.
Exactly. And it was kind of like, I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to, you know, I'm going to use my voice, and I'm going to try starting and let other people use their voices. And that's why, you know, I really want people my age and older, you know, to realize whatever age you are, you better claim it now, you know, and then the younger generations to realize, like, build in your time now, because you're going to go through so many changes in your life, and there is no handbook to know what those changes are. And you're right, you might hit a wall, but there's always ways around it. There's always new things. There's always growth and learning. But embrace it. Like, don't be scared of it. Just embrace it and go for it, and like, enjoy it. Like, life is short. Like, enjoy the stuff,
Robin, I want to ask you this. You're talking about sort of an idea of either reclaiming your voice or I actually have to sit with more reclaiming your voice, because I think many people kind of know their voice, but oftentimes they just don't want to say it for either being rejected or people being like, you want to be what? Like, sort of what public reaction might be. In retrospect, and I don't want to make a caricature out of your story of what I've heard for the last 20 minutes, but it sounds like you were not one way. It sounds like, as the shy person developing to becoming this person who kind of claimed their voice at a certain part of your life, right? Do you ever wish that you would have claimed your voice earlier?
Oh, probably.
Really?
Well, let me say this. In hindsight, it probably would have been a good idea.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't think I would be where I am now if I did. So I really am a believer that, it's one thing to look back and reflect versus sit in it, and I believe in reflection and sitting and learning from what's happened and move forward from it.
Yeah.
So I hesitate in saying, would I have changed anything? No. And in fact, it's interesting because I was giving a talk and I was trying to put a title on my story, and I almost want to say, possibly, and it sounds so weird, but possibly like maybe like losing my mother may have been the greatest gift to me in a way. And I know that sounds so odd, but maybe that was her gift to me. It took me 53 years, but get up,
Yeah.
So I hesitate in saying, like, what would I have changed it? Now, what I would say to my younger self is, don't be as afraid as you were. I mean, like.
Oh, sorry, I let out a guffaw, because that is one of the coolest things that it's actually a technique we've learned in positive psychology. Is one of the ways that you can self-coach, or one of the ways that you can unlock sort of new consciousness, is to sit and think about context and be like, what would my younger self tell me now? Or what would I tell my younger self? Or if I had a day to spend with my 90-year-old self, what is the one thing that my 90-year-old self would tell my 53-year-old self right now? Or for me, my 41-year-old self? He'd probably tell me to like chill out right now. I know you still think I'm in college, right? I also think that your ability to take on perspective right there in saying losing my mother may have been my greatest gift, or the greatest gift she's ever given me, is pretty dang amazing. And the idea of growth, because you were talking about growth, this is where we grow and change. So many people can only look at the trauma of loss, right?
Right.
And in so many ways, like, we're looking nowadays at not only how we can, sort of the trauma of loss, but how we can grow from loss, post-traumatic growth, right? And so I love the fact that you brought that up, because that's a pretty big topic that not a lot of people are researching yet. And so I just wanted to hit that on the head with it's just sort of drive that home, because that was a big one right there. I wanted to also bring this up with you. I wanted to bring us from where you come. Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize I'm dying again here.
Oh, no worries.
I will.
Oh, okay, right on. So I am going to recognize a couple people we got today. Andrew Castile, it's good to see you, brother. Andrew Castile coming in from, I think you're from Tampa. June, it's good to see you. June, thanks for tuning in with us today. We're just making sure we're not going to lose our power. This is why I send you emails in advance, Robin, because I'm like, whatever happens, Robin, I got your back.
No.
So, Robin, I think this is the perfect transition right now to be like, that's where you came from to this is where you are now, sort of author, speaker, coach. And I want to talk a little bit about the idea of this book and the title. I just want to start at the title of the book, Alone but Not Lonely. Talk to us about that.
It's interesting. I should grab. Have you seen the cover? I should grab it.
No, let's see it. Grab the cover. I'll do another commercial break.
Right back.
Andrew Castile, who absolutely loves the commercial breaks. Andy, tuning in from Orlando. Good to see you, Andy. Let's go and look at this cover. What's going on with the cover?
So I got to get in the middle here. This is the cover, Alone but Not Lonely. And it's interesting because I sat with this for a really long time. And I kind of put it aside and then played with various pictures of balloons and beaches and things like that. And then I just went right back to it. It was one of those things, when it keeps eating at you.
Yep.
So there's the loneliness of being alone that is that isolation, that negative isolation, which I went through, which is a dark place and a lonely place and more of a negative connotation. The not lonely part is what I really want to empower a million people, as many millions of people as I can, to understand that that's a powerful, lonely time of solitude and empowerment and thinking and like embracing your time. Like I really coach people on and believe that everybody, start with, I think you should talk about this, like start with 5 minutes a day. Like if everyone needs to carve 5 minutes into their day of just time for them to just think for them, not everybody else, not the laundry list and get the dog out and get the lunches made and that's just for them, and ask themselves, how do you want to feel today? And what are your intentions for the day? And build that up, of course. But, for me, what I was telling you is, if you can only do, if you can only do 5 minutes, but do it consistently, 3 days the first week and then 5 days the second week, and keep that 5 minutes 5 days a week, then week 3, build it up to 10 minutes a day. And then go 3 days that week and 5 days the next week,
I love that. And I think that taking that 5 minutes to reset is such a huge thing in terms of moving from loneliness, as you're talking about, to much more of a, for lack of a better term, like content solitude. And I completely relate to that idea, but also I want to go back to what you were talking about, the idea of building up, right? Because if you're like, you don't need to start with like full on like 30 minutes for yourself and then just blow a tire because you're not used to it. You can start with just very small 1% incremental changes and just broaden and build on those things. And yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, funny story. So because it's like training a new muscle, really, it's totally training a new muscle. And so I had a client, and I love this client. She's one of my favorites. And she was like, I can do 30. Like, come on. Okay. Go.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so I see her the following week, and I was like, okay, just try like 3 days this week. That's it. And she's like, this is going to be easy. I'm like, okay. I see her the next week, and I'm like, so? And she's like, I can't do that. Like, her face totally changed. She's like, I can't do that. I'm like, I know you can't do that. Because it is. It's like exercise. It's like you're not going to go run a marathon tomorrow if you haven't ever run in your life.
No, absolutely. It's like getting on that spin bike, right? And being like, let's let's turn this baby up to 10 and like be there for 45 minutes. You can't expect somebody to do that. Gary Fleming loved the book. And so we're just throwing it out there. Gary, thanks for tuning in today. So now I want to go to the idea of isolation and solitude. And I think a lot of people think that the feeling of isolation happens when you are by yourself. But nowadays, you can be completely surrounded by people. And it's not even nowadays, but, at all times. But nowadays, we can feel like we're connected through these things and through the Facebooks and through social media. We can be feeling like we're surrounded, but still feel completely isolated. So I love the fact that like part of the reason of, part of the ways to get out of that isolation is to just claim it and say, you know what? I am purposefully and mindfully taking 5 minutes for myself starting one day next week. And I'm going to build the muscle.
Exactly. And if you really find it difficult, put it in your calendar. Honestly, schedule it in your calendar that Monday morning you are going to at 7:30 take your 5 minutes. And unless the house is burning down, it's yours. If you have to schedule it in, schedule it in. But it has to be for you and only for you in your time. But interesting though, because that's really true about, you could be in a crowd of people and feel incredibly alone. And I sometimes I still do. I mean, sometimes like I love people watching, but like I could sit in a bar or whatever and just totally observe, but I don't know what's going on the inside, and I had that. The facade was great. I was soccer mom and team mom and, dog walker and whatever, but you don't know what's going on the inside.
I absolutely love it. I wish I would have read this book earlier in my life, because I definitely I mean, number one is for people who don't know me, I'm a complete introvert. I need my space. I love being by myself, but I also crave the connection with people, which is why I love doing stuff like this every day. But also at the same time, when I think to a time when I was, closer to college age, I remember like, kind of being active, being the soccer mom kind of guy in college, like I was always doing leadership positions. And, I remember always being like, something is really off right now, because like, here I am ostensibly in these like great positions, and like, I just don't understand, and I'm exhausted. And I think I talked to you when I got a little bit further in my career. I was still exhausted because I was just constantly, in this sort of provider mode and not thinking about sort of what I need for sustenance. And it's only been very recently that mentality has changed, and I always will revert to it a little bit, So I'm glad that we're having this conversation. Now, I think one of the things that comes with you putting yourself first, even if it's 5 minutes a day, Robin, is the idea that like we can be trying to put ourselves first, and then the negative talk starts coming in. The negative toxic talk is coming in. What can we do to like stop those gremlins? Because oftentimes we'll be like, like with your client, 30 minutes, I can do this. And then all of a sudden, all these things I need to do, my to-do list, or, this is, I shouldn't devote this much time to myself. This is wasting time. Like, what can we do to stop that kind of talk?
Right. And that's where it's like training a new muscle, right? Because then it's that guilty old world feeling again, I guess is the best way to put it. That's where there's tools and strategies that come in that you have to start implementing. I'll give you a couple that I think are great. First of all, I tell everybody, and all of you who are listening, go do this, and Mark, promote this one. Record a message to yourself, a simple message. We all walk around with our cell phones. On your voice memos, oh, here comes my dog again. On your voice, we're waving. On your voice memos, record yourself a message, and it could be, I like to start with I am powerful because, or I've got this because, and it kind of depends on what you do, how you want to word that. But it could be 3 seconds and it could be 3 minutes. It doesn't matter. But it's your voice to you kind of resetting yourself and just giving you that moment to reset and be like, I'm okay and I've got this and I'll be fine. And so when you start having those thoughts, you just have to stop and breathe. You know, the worst thing we can do is take in like that gulp of breath and that panic mode, because all we do is send our bodies, well, you're the neuroscience guy, right? Send our bodies into this panic attack, really, that
fight or flight mode. Yeah.
We really do. That's one really great tool that, you know, you can go do as soon as you want to.
And Robin, I do want to throw this out. One of the things that I love about that is this idea that putting yourself as sort of I am powerful, right, is a way to take the negative talk and frame it into a positive, right? Mm-hmm. But then also for you to put because, you're putting because in there as sort of as an indicator for you to be able to find real life examples of the reasons why you're powerful. And so in many ways, like if we have negative self-talk, our brains are so powerful that the brain finds reasons why you should stay in negative self-talk mode.
Right.
But then if you're actually rewiring that into a powerful place and you say, I am powerful because, you're rewiring the brain to find reasons that you're powerful. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it.
I didn't think of that part of it. Thanks.
I'm so corny. So yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, but for those of you who are like, oh, this could be like woo-woo talk, there's a lot of research that's coming back now that says that we are so pre-wired to find the reasons why we should stay in a place, that all we need to do is find reasons why we need to just rewire. And the fact that you're powerful now, just find the reasons and the brain will eventually catch up with you.
Right. And it's something, you know, you can use whether you wake up and you just don't feel like you got it that day, like, you know, you just don't want to get out of bed, or you're walking into a meeting where for whatever reason you feel you're not good enough to do it. You know, you feel like, oh, someone else has it, or, you know, I'm the fraud, or I'm not going to go for this interview. It's such an easy thing to listen to, and you just kind of step back and reset yourself. You really do. And the other thing is, you have to kind of start thinking, like, you wouldn't go and tell your best friend, like, oh, you're not going to do it. You know, you're going to fail. Don't worry about it. You're going to fail. You'll get a right? We pick up our best friends all the time. You know, we're like, oh, of course you're fine. You know, you give them a hug, you give them a pat on the back, and that's where you have to start talking to yourself like you should be your own best friend, because you are the one who can control how you feel. So start talking to yourself like you're your own best friend, you know?
And it's so funny because we sometimes are our biggest enemies, and it
awful to ourselves.
Yeah, and why is it that, and this is just more of a rhetorical question, but why is it that we are so good to others and then we're almost the exact opposite to ourselves at times?
I know.
So
and that's kind of that whole rewire thing, you know? It's kind of like being able to, that's where even like the training of taking the time in the morning, that, you know, kind of changing your mindset for starting at 5 minutes, because you have to really kind of start thinking about what you want for you and realize that you can create that. And, you know, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have great days. It doesn't mean you're going to have bad days. It just means that you're very conscious of how you're wired and what makes you tick and how you can pick yourself up and realize that you'll be able to train yourself to get out of situations quicker, you know?
Yeah. Robin, what I also love about this conversation, what I love about some of the points that we're talking about is in positive psych, it's not just about feeling good, right? So when I talk about, are you feeling good and are you also functioning in your full purpose? Functioning in your full purpose hints that you're very productive in your outputs. So you feel like you're fully engaged and you're at capacity. And so I know one of the big points that you always stress is that your mindset correlates with your productivity. And so we've been talking about a mindset shift. So talk a little bit more about that your mindset correlates with your productivity.
You know, it directly correlates with your productivity. How you, your outlook and how you view things, and how you kind of wake up with, what am I going to do today, and how, you know, what for me today,
Mm-hmm.
Totally and scientifically correlates with how productive you will be that day. So let's say, for instance, like you had a bad day. I was talking to someone actually today, and they were saying that they had a contract that they wrote and someone didn't like it, and it really wasn't their fault. It was more the other person's fault, but they felt so bad. So the next day when they saw that person, they still were kind of uneasy with that person, and then the other person was apologetic, but they still didn't feel right. You know, you carry things with you. So, you know, you could have, well, my dog runs all the time. Say my dog runs out the door, and I'm late for an appointment, or, you know, you have an argument with your partner, or
Yep.
you know, the kids have a bad night and you're tired and your day's just off. You carry those things with you. And what you need to do, and this is all about, you know, shifting the mindset, because you have to be able to turn that off, to be able to say, okay, I'm going to pause, and this is what I need to happen today. This is how I need the day to go. This is what, you know, and then, for instance, you know, if you have this big task, well, put that as your first thing, because, you know, you don't really want to do it. You might as well get the hardest thing out of the way.
Yep. Eat that frog.
Totally, you know, increases, because you've kind of been able to like clear all the other stuff out.
I've heard so many productivity coaches say that. Get rid of the hardest thing at the beginning of your day, because it frees up so much of your bandwidth, and in so many ways it doesn't make you, but you're so much more productive getting that thing out of the way. And I love the fact that you're correlating that with the idea of mindset work, because mindset work, if you fall into that slump where you're waking up on a daily basis and you think that this is the way life will always be, if you think that this is the status quo, and then you're stuck, just to bring it back kind of full circle with stories that we're told that we have to have our 3.5 kids before we turn 34.7 years old, and we got to have that minivan, and we got to make this much money. When that mindset and then those expectations externally start to correlate, and the mindset is a very kind of low energy mindset. That's a lot of energy to get you to the next level. And so I think that's why coaching can be such an empowering thing, because mindset work is like it's not something where you get hit in the head and you suddenly change. It's really something where it's like if someone is smoking, it takes a couple weeks to quit smoking. It takes a couple weeks to get rid of the cravings if you've been doing it for multiple years. And so I love the fact that mindset and productivity directly relate. And if you change your mindset, you can change your outputs. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, totally. And again, it's all comes to training, right? I mean, so it doesn't, when you say like, and coaching, that's the beauty of coaching, right? I mean,
yeah.
It isn't going to happen overnight, because you are training, you know, you're putting yourself in a training program. So, you know, I mean, you know this, you know, usually you just have to be patient, and when you slip back, you know, into bad habits, you can't beat yourself up, and you just have to be nice to yourself and forgive yourself and move forward.
Oh, where were you when I was in college? Let me throw this out there. Guess what, Robin? We just went into flow for like an hour.
I can't believe we've talked this.
The two introverts going into flow. I wanted to throw this out there to everybody. Think about this. Think about talking with Robin for a couple minutes about where you're at, y'all. Robin, you've offered for folks to have a free session with you, a laser session. Talk to us about this laser session.
You know, and I think you have the links up, right?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Get on my calendar, that meetme.so/Robin Meyers calendar. And yeah, it's 15 minutes complimentary laser session. And let's just chat. I mean, if you have a challenge or you have a question and you just want, to kind of hone in on it and figure out a tool or a strategy and just get unstuck with something, I would love to chat with you. So.
And 15 minutes can be a complete game changer, y'all, because the first part of coaching is that oftentimes the things that are like these invisible values can be made very visible to you. And once it becomes visible, you can start coaching yourself, or you can start taking action on that. But while it's invisible, it's so hard to figure out, like, why is it that I just keep getting stuck in these ruts? Why is it that, like, I've always wanted to not settle, but I'm still settling? I just don't get it, and I don't need therapy. I don't know what it is that I need right now. Yeah. Robin, I just wanted to thank you for offering that up. That's so gracious of you. Gary just wanted to throw it out there too. Laser sessions are really powerful. Thank you, Gary, for backing us up. And I'm loving the sunflower, bro. I wanted to bring this up. Keep in touch with Robin. We got the website for the book. I am going to pick up a copy of Alone But Not Lonely. I hope you do too. The website is up there. Robin's email, Instagram is up there, LinkedIn. We've got every single way to stay connected with Robin. And I also have your Facebook link up there as well, Robin. So we've made it as simple as possible to keep in touch with Robin. Now, Robin, I don't know if you know, but this is why the show is called The Golden Mic Live, this part. So I'm going to go into a quick visualization with you. And on behalf of everybody, I just wanted to thank you for being here. For the folks who are watching live and the folks who are going to be watching the replay, I wanted to tell you, like Robin, love Robin, want some more of Robin, share her out. Ritu, it's good to see you. Thank you for tuning in, Ritu. But Robin, this is the part that I want you to visualize. I want you to visualize now a golden microphone is coming down from your ceiling, and it's coming to rest right in front of you. And this golden microphone now will translate into every single language all across the world for 2 minutes. So you can say whatever it is that you want to the entire world. I'm going to flip there. I'm going to flip the international speaker. So this should be easy. So I'm going to flip the switch. And when I flip the switch, Robin, you're going to be on the Golden Mic live. Robin, you're live.
Well, first of all, thank you, Mark, for having me.
Yep.
And I just want to tell everybody that, we talk about getting out of our own way and getting unstuck and fear. One thing I want to say about fear is that use fear positively. We put this negative connotation on that word, and you shouldn't, because sometimes, when you're fearful and excited about something, that means go for it. And I want you all to really think about that. We're all in different stages of our lives. And so some are working a job that you might not be thrilled with, but you have another vision in mind. And so wherever stage that you're at, take time for you. Self-care, it's so important that you build in time for you and that you really do make yourself the number one priority, because when you're good with yourself and your mind and your body and soul and everything's in sync, you show up better for everybody else. So,
Robin,
my word.
Robin, you can take the golden mic and you can drop it. You can drop the mic. If you... Robin Drake drops the golden mic on us.
Thanks.
Ritu's like just in time for the golden mic. You are officially a part of the fraternity and sorority of people who've done the golden mic. Robin, I wanted to thank you again. All of her contact is there. She had the mic. I've got some goosebumps. Thank you so much, so much for being on the show. Robin, thank you so much for being on the show. Y'all, I'm your boy, Mark Cordone, and I've got a final question for you. If you're feeling good and you're living in your full purpose, what is your responsibility to the greater good? It's Thursday. We're turning the golden microphone off for the whole weekend. Spend time with your family. Get off the social media. Have some fun. We'll see you on Monday. Thank y'all. See you soon. And Robin, thank you. Take care.
Thanks.